Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well today. I wanted to discuss a couple things with you regarding the Arthur case study that we had due on Monday. All of them have been graded and I've given you a ton of feedback on them, so please review what you missed, and if you have any questions about it, please let me know. I just wanted to touch on a couple key topics. Some of you missed a great deal of information on that 2-week fit plan that you were supposed to write out for your client. So I just want to go through the answers with you and give you an example. Okay, so your Arthur information was listed there. The first question was, what were his cardiovascular risk factors? He had 4 risk factors. They were sedentary, family history, obesity, and high blood pressure. And all of that information you could have gotten from your ACSM 4 risk factors. And that's listed right here in that cardiovascular program design PowerPoint under the case study module in Canvas. Okay. Question number 2, what stage of conditioning does Arthur fall into? There are 3 options for stages of conditioning. They are initial, improvement, and maintenance. Your correct answer should have been initial. Arthur's in pretty bad shape. He's currently sedentary, so he is in the initial stage of conditioning. Again, more information on that back in that PowerPoint. Stages of conditioning, you have 3 options: initial, improvement, and maintenance. Okay. Question 3, list 2 short-term goals for Arthur and make sure they're SMART. As I talked about in the PowerPoint, when we're designing goals for clients, we want to make sure that they are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and then time-based as well. We don't want to set any real weight loss goals in those first 8 weeks for a client. So some great options for Arthur would have been to start focusing on a food journal for the first week. So to record his food for 3 days or 4 days in the first week and review it after the first week. Okay, that would have been a great goal. Another great option would have been to start exercising in the first week and make sure that he's exercising 3 days a week that first week, and we'll reevaluate from there. Another great option for him, he wanted to start exercising with his wife as well on the weekends. So encouraging Arthur and his wife to partake in 30 plus minutes of activity one time on the weekends, reevaluate after 2 weeks. Okay, so lots of kind of very basic goals, lifestyle goals. We just want to start getting him into shape there. Step 4 were, what were his cardiovascular assessment scores and what range does that put him in? His cardiovascular assessment scores were from his VO2 max test that he took with his doctor. So they were given to you. His VO2 max was 27.8 milliliters per kilogram per minute, and that put him in a very poor rating. He was actually below the poor rating for his age group. Okay, so that's what you should have gained there. His max heart rate was 170. So that would have been the correct answer for question number 4. Question number 5 was calculating Arthur's heart rate. The correct answer for that would have been 130 and then 158 beats per minute. If you still need help with determining heart rate reserve levels, again, in the PowerPoint, there's an example. If you still need help, contact me. Question number 6 was devising a 2-week fit plan for Arthur. I'm going to use an example here. I gave you the example from Sarah for in your case studies in that kind of module for you. So if it should look similar to kind of what I had listed here for that Sarah as far as information included. But an example to kind of go over with you guys on that one. Sorry, bear with me for a second as I get this. All right. So an example for Arthur would have been You're going to use table 7.4. Okay, that's listed in Canvas for you, to determine and fill out that top part of that 2-week diagram for him. So Arthur's going to be in the sedentary exercise level. His physical fitness classification is poor. His stage of conditioning is initial. 3 to 5 days a week of exercise is what's recommended. His intensity is going to be 30 to 45% of heart rate reserve, 20 to 30 minutes a day, and then 60 to 150 minutes per week. And that is literally taken from table 7.4, just following the information across. So we had him in the sedentary, poor, initial, 3 to 5 days a week, 30 to 45% heart rate reserve, 20 to 30 minutes a day, and then weekly duration in minutes was 60 to 150. So literally all you had to do was copy that information and stick it in the top one. Okay. So then down here is where I'm going to design specifically for my client, my recommendations based on this chart up here. So my frequency, I'm going to give Arthur 3 days a week of exercise. He's in really bad shape. He hasn't exercised for a long time. He's got high blood pressure. He's obese. He just has a lot of health issues going on. I'm really going to start with minimal amount of physical activity, try to build that base and get him working up from there. So frequency, I'm going to go with 3 days a week. I determine his intensity, as is listed up here for percentage of heart rate reserve, is going to be 30 to 45%. So I figure out my heart rate reserve calculations, which are going to be 114 to 126 beats per minute. My time. So Arthur's just starting a new program, so we're going to start out slow in order to build a base, and Arthur will start with 20-minute sessions for 60 minutes the first week. He's been sedentary for his type of activity, so he's likely to have some atrophy in his legs. So we're going to start with walking and bicycling, a moderate impact and low impact exercise. So remember back in the lecture, I spoke a little bit about having your client do a impact-based exercise and then a non-impact based exercise, especially if they were starting out, because we want to develop an orthopedic tolerance to stress level from exercise. So an individual generally with walking is somewhere about 3 to 4 times their body weight impact that needs to be absorbed from their knees, ankles, and hip joints. So if you have a 250-pound client like Arthur, he's an individual that every time he's walking, now he's at 750 pounds of impact that his knees, hips, and joints need to handle. So that's a huge amount of impact. So having him do something like walking or hiking one day, and then a non-impact exercise such as the elliptical or biking would be great options for that alternative day. Okay. His weekly volume, so if he's doing 3 exercise sessions at 20 minutes apiece, that'll be 60 minutes for that first week. And then again, we want to do that 10% increase a week. So 10% of 60 minutes that first week would be increasing by roughly 6 minutes for that second week. So your 2-week plan should have looked like something like this. He wanted to do either hiking, biking, or walking with his wife on either Saturdays or Sundays. So we did it Sunday here. It's a 3 MET level activity, and so it's 2 METs, net METs for 20 minutes. His heart rate range is listed here. I'm going to do my 0.0175 calculation, find out how many calories he's burning in his session, and list that information there. Okay. The next day, on Mondays and Wednesdays, the client wanted off because those were long work days for him. So make sure you're listening to your client on those days. So next day I would have him bike, and I'm going to have him bike on Tuesdays at a 4 MET level. Again, impact based on Sunday. So then the follow-up exercise would be non-impact based. 20 minutes. I determine my calories burned right there. I'm going to give him Wednesday off as he wanted, and then I'm going to have him exercise again on Friday. And again, doing the walking by himself, and then information is listed there. So week 2, the only thing that's going to change is we're going to increase everything to 22 minutes instead of the option of the 20 minutes in order to progress him. I also could have done just one day, like the bicycling, I could have changed that to 25 minutes. So I could have had 20 minutes still for the hiking and walking, and then 25 minutes for the bicycling, and then 20 minutes still for the walking, right? So I could have just increased one of the activities in time. I could have increased it similarly throughout. Lots of options there, but I did need to somehow progress him. Okay, so if your 2-week fit plan did not look something like that, go ahead and review this information, and then review that the example I gave, the Sarah case study, with all of the information about Sarah there, and that you would want to include in your case study. Question number 7 was, Arthur's heading back to his doctor after 8 weeks. What types of assessments or notes would you perform on Arthur to monitor his progress and give for him to submit back to his doctor? So some realistic things. Arthur's coming to you because he has a major blood pressure issue. So keeping recording either once a week or 2 times a week or every session before you start working out, taking his blood pressure, that would be a great option. That would be something that you definitely would want to report back to his doctor. Hopefully we're seeing a kind of downward slope to that, so that it's continually decreasing before he goes back to his doctor. Other options that you could report back are his increase in exercise minutes a week. So he started out with 0, and now he's up to exercising, maybe after 8 weeks, maybe he's exercising 100 minutes a week, something like that. So that would be an option. You could also do waist circumference. You could perform the same exercise you did in week 1 in week 7 or week 8 and see how his heart rate changed. You could pay attention to his heart rate recovery level and see how that changed. You could do waist circumference, or even just reporting back some weight decreases. You could also report back food or dietary changes. So all of those things are things that you should be thinking about with your clients, that you would notes or information that you would want to keep in your client's file. Okay. Next question was, Arthur's very anxious to lose 50 pounds quickly. What would you tell him a realistic weight goal is for each week? And can he speed up his weight loss process if he changes his diet? 1 to 2 weeks, 1 to 2 pounds a week is what is recommended for a client to lose weight. Anything more than that is not going to be sustainable, and he needs to change his diet. So referring him out to a dietitian would be the best bet. Also just encouraging him healthy diet plans, food logging, healthy lifestyle choices as far as eating, referring him to myplate.gov, things like that. Within the scope of practice of a personal trainer, you are not allowed to give someone an actual meal plan, but you are allowed to make generalized healthy recommendations for the client concerning their diet. Okay. So go ahead and look over your Arthur case study information. If you have questions, I'm really going to encourage you to go back and look at all those video lectures and the PowerPoints and the example of the case study I gave. And if you still have questions after that, of course, feel free to contact me and reach out to me with any questions. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you all soon.